I crossed over to the other side and was out for quite a while. I did see some relatives on the other side that I had never met before. I never really came back. I'm still in the other side.
Hello, hello, kia ora, and welcome back. This is another episode of the Let's Talk Near Death podcast. Today I'm chatting with our guest, Kimberly Meredith. Kimberly has had two profound near-death experiences. She's author of the best-selling book, Awakening to the Fifth Dimension. Can't wait to talk a little bit more about that in this episode. She is a medical intuitive healer, and she's all about connecting to our spiritual team, living within our spiritual bodies. She's about healing, obviously, and just really being aligned with our purpose and what we are here to do. I'm excited to get into this. She's got a great energy about her. Kimberly, welcome along to Let's Talk Near Death.
Thank you, Christy. Thanks for having me on your show.
I'm excited about where we're going today. I can feel it already. So, you're a medical intuitive healer. How did you get to being that? Can you explain a little bit more about what that is for our listeners? And let's see where we go today.
Yeah. Well, I was born with gifts as a young child. I was psychic medium already as a little kid. I had paranormal experiences when I was really little. And I went into nursing as a young child, started very little having healing abilities in my hands, and my family didn't like it. So I always was around my grandmother, who was a healthcare practitioner, and so always was around nursing as a little one and went into that, you know, so always was serving, but didn't fully accept my gifts as a young adult until after my two NDEs, which is about 9 years ago.
Oh, wow, you've had
They
two.
were pretty profound near-death experiences. And after that, I became a full-blown psychic medium. And I just always pushed it away. I had particular parental figures that didn't really want me exhibiting these paranormal gifts that I had had. But I was always around healthcare. I had couple cousins and family members that were doctors and nurses, so I was always in the healthcare um, um, community. And throughout my life, even in the nursing profession, I always knew empathic when people were going to cross over, and I always did healing, put my hands on them, and would get premonitions and saw these miraculous healings take place.
Wow.
And so it doesn't surprise me now, being a medical intuitive and healer.
Mm.
My gifts have awakened this way. My NDEs were um, very um, profound because I never knew anything about NDEs or those type of experiences. Even in the medical profession, when people would pass, um, I never really saw, anything like that I had gone through. So yeah, I was, but now being a trance channeler, psychic, and doing the work I do, which is the healing in the fifth dimension, um, anything and all is possible.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe that. I don't think we can give up on any option. I think anything is possible, things that we can't even comprehend. So, yeah, I love that. Thank you, Kimberly. I want to backtrack a little bit. We are the Let's Talk Near Death podcast. Can we chat through your near death experiences?
Yeah, I was struck by a car. I was on foot. I was actually going to a show that I was actually a medical technical advisor on and writer. I worked a double life, which was working in the hospital, and I was also a medical technical advisor on a major television show. And I
Wow,
had worked
a little
many
busy.
years. Yeah, it was many years working this double life where I'd work in entertainment, behind the scenes on shows, setting them up to look very real as hospital shows. And I was very excited about this one show that I had just gotten on. And I was really very burning the candle very hard, very,
Mm.
very fast life. And I was struck by a vehicle, and I uh, had to go into the hospital because I was blunt head trauma and badly, badly, severely injured.
Wow.
And I was, my fiance at the time was told that I would not make it. And I definitely, was not looking like I was going to make it. And I crossed over to the other side and um, was, you know, uh, out for quite a while, you know, and I lost a lot of functioning in my body. Um, I had multiple seizures, lost a lot of blood, surgery, and was in the hospital for over 2.5 months.
Oh, that is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had witnessed, I would say the omnipresent, the Holy Spirit come through my body.
Hmm.
And I didn't speak for a long time, after was starting to recover in the hospital. I didn't walk for over probably 6 months to a year. I was in a wheelchair.
Mm.
And they told me that I would probably never be able to hold my head up without a collar, um, and wheelchair bound for a long time. And as I was starting to, you know, come back after a year of rehabilitation, I started to blink in my eyes. And when I was little, I would blink a lot and communicate with spirit through blinking. And my eyes started blinking again when I was like I was when I was little. And I would remember that communication with spirit, with omnipresent. And I wasn't talking too much. I had crushed my jaw and my vertebrae in my neck
Mm.
on top of the blunt trauma to the skull. And after a few years, I started becoming a full blown psychic trance channel
Mm.
and recuperating slowly. In the near death experience, though, I did see some relatives on the other side that I had never met before. They had crossed over
Oh.
before I was born.
Did you
One
know
of
who
them,
they were?
well, I had explained to one of my aunts, the woman, and she said that was your grandmother, great grandmother.
Yeah.
And I was born in a family that was um, mixed with religion. My mother was Italian Catholic. That was my Italian shaman grandmother. And my father is Jewish. So I was always raised in a mixed family. And I started experiencing when I got home through the struggles of recuperating, a lot of heat from my hands, energy healing heat,
Mm.
and a lot of praying coming in, and a lot of not wanting to do Western medicine anymore. So I felt like I wanted to become more holistic. And I started hearing messages like I did when I was little from my spirit team and telling me to heal myself with my hands. And I started blinking. The blinking was happening again. So I went with that. And the story began of me becoming this medical intuitive that I never even heard of. I never was in a community of anything to do with healers or spiritual thing. I always was just like a regular person that worked in the nursing and holistic was not a part of my life. I never
Mm.
did that. I was in the entertainment world and I was basically just the nursing. But when I was little, I had the communication with the eye blinking and I pushed it away.
Mm. Mm.
And I had some paranormal experiences, but I just pushed it away till after the near death experiences.
Wow. Do you
Okay.
remember you said that you crossed over is what you said? Do you remember what that was like? Like, what could you see? Could you feel? What was the experience like for you?
I remember everything. Um, Going there and coming back. Um, it's like a reality that is not, it's like a linear veil, meaning I'm still there. For me,
Mm,
I did not really kind of return. So like my book's called The Awakening to the Fifth Dimension because we're living in all these dimensional energies. So Einstein wrote about the dimensions. Um, Nikola Tesla wrote about the dimensions. And the reason why my book's called The Fifth Dimension is because when I went there and came back, I never really, they go, no, they blink, no. I never really came back. I'm still in the other side.
mm,
I'm still in that fifth dimension, meaning my work that I teach people is how to get in that dimension. And so, of course, I'm not dead. I'm here, but I'm still in that high frequency still. I'm in
yeah.
that dimension frequency. So when I lay hands on people, I dissolve. I've been studied at IONS and SciTech and these institutes. I dissolve energies off people. I heal. I'm a healer.
Yeah.
And in that dimension is where they want us to all be and go. It's the awakening. And so it was so miraculous, so amazing, and so um, soothing. I always want to be there, and I am there all the time. Live there. Um, it's like you don't want to leave. So I try to stay in that dimension and that frequency. And that's the energy of the fifth dimension. And that's where I feel more and more people are healing faster and gaining more of an energetic vibration to be there. We can all stay in that energy field. Not that we're all transcending to leave here, but we are depopulating out of the third dimension.
Mm, mm,
Have to survive.
mm.
So I feel like when I left and I came back to teach the teachings of the fifth dimension.
My brain is just catching up. It's a little bit slower sometimes. I'm thinking around this, like, I love what you're saying. I've had other guests come on and I've read books, so I've had conversations with a lot of people around this concept of we're not purely here, we're not only here.
Right.
And that leads into a way bigger conversation around reincarnation, which is one of my favorite topics of what percentage stays in the life that we had versus the reincarnation, the new life that comes through. And there's all sorts of theories and beliefs. And, I'm not going to say anyone's right or wrong. I just find it fascinating. And you're talking about that. And do you feel like you can control how much of you is in that fifth dimension versus how much of you is in this actual life right here where you're doing the healing?
Yes, I feel like what you're saying is so true because when certain people have near death experiences, and I hope this is aligning with what you asked, the word sat nam,
Hmm.
true, which we are not really us, our true identity, meaning we are the truth. Our name is really the truth, who we are. Meaning when we go to the other side or we are here to speak the truth, our name is the truth. I am. So I'm not really me. I am being
Mm,
here as a mission to bring the truth, meaning we are sometimes when we go there and we come back, our identity is really to spread love and joy and healing and to help move the world forward into this higher vibration.
mm,
So many near death experiencers may understand this or not. They're really here to fulfill the omnipresence mission.
yeah, I like that. I like the word omnipresence as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And so some people are like Paramahansa Yogananda or Jesus or different ascending masters are walk ins. there are sometimes taken over by other energies when they cross back over.
Yeah. And that's another topic. Oh, I love that topic. That one's really juicy for me. The idea of walk-ins, the idea of a different soul comes in to fulfill a
Higher,
lifetime.
higher ascended beings. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we could talk about that. I don't want to get sidetracked. We're talking about your experiences. I want to come to your second one, but I just want to come back to a point that you were talking about people are healing faster and you were able to heal yourself through your hands. And I love that you talk about the heat in your hands. That's another common thing that I hear is the temperature of the hands, the hot hands for healing. If are we all meant to be healed? Are we all trying to heal faster? Because part of me's going, but isn't the purpose to die? Isn't our purpose to get through this lifetime and to die? Do we need to be healed? And I don't know if that's even making sense. And I mean no disrespect if somebody's listening and thinking how horrible that is to say when maybe the loved one's going through something or they're going through something. So I don't mean it disrespectfully. I mean, is healing one of the points of being here? Do we need to be healed?
Yeah, I love that, Christy, because
I don't know if that makes sense.
of course it makes sense. You know, there's beauty in living and there's beauty in dying.
Yes.
Dying is a part of life. We come into the world on our breath and we leave the world on our breath. And there's a time to live and there's a time to die. And there's beauty in having a miracle healing because sometimes there's not a time to die. There's a time to learn a lesson in
Mm,
in the awakening of finding a miracle healing. And sometimes in experiencing a miracle healing, you experience the awakening of the omnipresent being there. And not everybody's time is when you think it's your time. So
mm,
life is full of so many miracles and experiences. And when it's your time, it's not when someone tells you it's your time. Your
yeah.
time is your time. Just like it's your time when it's your time to have an awakening. It's not always your time when it's someone else's time.
Mm,
This journey that we're on is miraculous.
yes.
Many lives are in a particular dimension. We're multidimensional beings. So when someone may say, well, I'm not getting here when I want to get there, and I'm not having this at this time, that's okay because we all have our different times to get at certain places. So when someone may have a fifth dimensional miracle healing with me, it's not me. I'm just an in-betweener. I'm a messenger. I'm a messenger for this. How it happened to me is because I did cross, I did come back. And many people can learn these types of experiences.
Mm, yeah, that really makes sense. And as I finished saying what I was saying and go, none of that made sense. It's almost like I went, oh, it's about not suffering. If it's not our time, why suffer through something that we don't need to, unless it's a lesson, unless it's to teach somebody else something. So interesting that that literally dropped in as I finished asking my question, because I really felt led to ask it. You
Yeah,
then
it's a
answered, and I'm
beautiful.
like, oh, it all makes sense because I
Yeah.
think possibly for me, because I'm so not running away from death. I mean, I didn't end up doing this podcast as somebody who's terrified of death. Um, I think it's a natural progression of life and don't necessarily see things as something we need to fix. But yeah, it's about not suffering. If it's not our time, why suffer? If it's not our illness to carry, why suffer with it? So yeah, thank you. I've gone way off track and I need to bring it back in. I'm sorry, listeners. This is what happens with me. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with me right now. Let's go, if you're happy to share, Kimberly, to your second near-death experience. Are you happy to share what happened with that one?
my second near-death experience was really a big turning point in my life with my understanding to become very fearless with myself, and was a real big explosion with my embodiment of my full-blown awakening. It was not long after I came home from the hospital that I had my second NDE. And I was 90 pounds and still recovering.
Wow.
And I took my American Bulldog, who is about 60 pounds. Um, uh, well, God, maybe he was more. He could have been almost, God, 70 pound,
Mm.
out to the front door of my complex here. And a gardener came out, and he had I don't know if you know those blowers.
Oh, the leaf blowers where it just blows everything away? Love
Yeah,
those.
yeah. And he was a recovering American Bulldog, pretty big dog from an abused home. And he was an aggressive dog that I had gotten before my first NDE. And he thought he was going to hurt us. So he lunged towards the gardener, and the gardener took the blower and pushed it towards my dog. And he went towards the gardener, and the gardener went back towards him, and he threw me into the street. And when he threw me into the street, I fell backwards and hit my skull where I just had the surgery.
Oh my goodness.
And
Oh,
yeah, it threw me backwards, and I blacked out, and I was severely injured again. And that one was really bad. I mean, I already was really bad, but that one, I was unconscious for quite a while, and my dog laid on top of my body, and they say that he did not leave me,
mm.
and I could have been run over by many cars and killed
Oh my goodness.
if he hadn't laid over me. He was
Oh,
only he was only 3 years old, and I had a very intense relationship with this animal,
mm.
and he died about a year later. They
Oh,
found they found a tumor lodged in the back of his neck. He was very young, but he had been severely abused by the people that owned him. He was a baiter dog, where they used to he was like set up to fight. And but that head injury reopened up the original head injury, and I was severely injured after that. I went all the way back to the beginning of being injured.
oh my goodness. And again, I've got a lot of questions around why. Why can't we
I,
just do it? But it's the experience, it's the process, that's part of your journey.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I lost him on top of it, and I ended up back in the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was, but it made me become extremely fearless in something I never experienced. And it just opened up this complete um, channeling experience in me becoming a full-blown trance medium after that.
Yeah.
I did have a very strong duality happen when I laid in the middle of the street. I had seen tons of angels swirling around, but I had an opposite reaction when I was in the street of a duality of heaven and hell. There was dark energy threshing on my body, the Rocky was on me. I could feel him licking me. But I also saw um, very bright lights coming through, but I also saw very dark energy too happening
Mm.
during it.
What do you think about that dark energy? Like, do you have any insights into where it
Um,
comes from, what that's about? Do we all have that?
well, the way I was raised as a kid, I always experienced, as we do now in our society, even a dark and a light energy coming. Yeah, but during that experience, it was very profound.
Mm. Were you afraid of it? Or were you in this present, this white, lighter energy?
When it was happening to me, I wasn't feeling anything really. I just was like, I feel like I was just experiencing it.
Mm. Mm.
I just remember a very interesting duality coming in and out of it. But
Yeah.
I remember experiencing it. I experienced at a young age dark energy through my mother because she was an alcoholic and she
Mm.
would come at me sometimes with this dark energy.
Oh.
And throughout life, experiencing dark energies through people can also have energies come at you. I do a lot of teachings right now in my community how to combat dark energy.
Mm.
And I'm just grateful that I'm here.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. I want to just ask you because I'm aware of how much you've been through. It is a lot. And to have that double head injury, and I just need to ask you, Kimberly, how are you today? Are you okay? Have you got all your mobility? You're no longer in a wheelchair. Where are you at today? You okay?
I mean, every day is a blessing. I don't know how I'll be tomorrow, but whether I'm in a wheelchair today or tomorrow or I go back, I'm here for the community. I have many healers that are in wheelchairs. There's people that are disabled that are doing great work out there. People that are just disabled healers or psychics or
Mm.
mediums. I love you. You guys are amazing. Some of the greatest work I did, I traveled to New York in a wheelchair and I laid hands on thousands, hundreds of people, and we dissolved tumors and um, helped put back gastrointestinal issues. I think I did some of my best work when I traveled in my wheelchair. I mean, I'm still doing work right now, laying on
Yeah.
hands and stuff. Um, right now, my health is great, but
Right.
I just stay in gratitude.
Yeah, we never know what's around the corner, do we? We never know what's coming up.
Yeah.
And I actually believe that having some form of something, whether it could be anything. I was curious whether you've got your mobility to walk back. Uh, Mobility to walk has come back. But
Yes. Yes,
some of our
I am right
greatest,
now.
yeah, great. Some of our greatest everything comes from being in a different situation, some of the learning that takes place. And I think we can have greater gifts when potentially we aren't so worried about another aspect of life. I do not look down on anyone who has any form of disability or anything. I mean, you could say that I do, but we've all got our own gifts and we've all got our things, and nothing should limit it because it's not a physical thing that's
Yeah.
coming through. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, looking at you now, if you're watching the video version, you are absolutely gorgeous. You're shining. Yeah, you really couldn't tell. And you've got fabulous hair for someone who's had some head injuries. And I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, really happy that you're all okay. And well, maybe not all okay, but you're doing what you need to do and you're able to do that. So that's a blessing. That's wonderful.
Yeah, we love doing healing. We love finding the root cause of why people have their certain emotional or physical
Yeah.
um, injuries, and especially emotional going on right now. A lot of people love to get in contact with their relatives that have crossed over. I specialize in that. and also nutritional information that you need. These are the gifts that
Mm,
came back with.
yeah. So I want to go into that, but first I want to ask, what was that like when you came back with that? Did you
What do you
know
mean?
what to do with it when you realize that you come back and you've got these healing abilities and that
I
you can
didn't,
connect
yeah,
with past people and
yeah, I didn't know I had them. I actually didn't know I had any of those gifts. They gradually opened up over a few years, and they
yeah,
happened through people coming to my home, being discovered by different producers and people and expos taking me to different places. But it happened, over many years in my own home. Yeah, it wasn't like I went to classes or anywhere. I just got discovered out of my apartment.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
So I really like that too. So can we talk a little bit about that? You're a medical intuitive healer. What does that actually mean and what happens for you? Like if you're seeing somebody, I've heard some interesting personal experiences from people. If you're seeing somebody, can you see illness within them? Can you see a tumor? Can you see pain? What's it like for you?
Well, for me, because I scan people with my eyes and my hands, and I communicate with my spirit team. I'm like Edgar Casey. So I have him and I have many other guides that just go through the body and we do the scanning. And then we do um, the root cause. We find why people are having these issues. And I also do connect to the family members on the other side that come in. They like to also do readings.
Yeah. And is this something which you can turn on and off, or is it you go to the supermarket and the person in front of you and you can see it and
I'm a professional, so I have people come to me for appointments through my Zoom and also from
yeah.
my office.
Okay, so you can do it through Zoom as well because you talked about scanning people with your hands.
I'm a distant um, medical intuitive healer, and I also have an office in Encino,
Yeah.
California.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like what's it like in terms of do you know what you're picking up on? Like, do you know, okay, that's a tumor versus that's an old bone injury or they've had a break or
I
like a sports injury or something like that?
I mean, this is all, I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah.
what people do, they'll come in and they won't tell me what's going on. I'll do a scan, an assessment. And if they do a Zoom with me, we'll do a scan and assessment. And what we like to do is find the root cause of why people are not well.
Mm. And that comes in with talking to their past loved ones and
That is if they want to come in.
people.
Yeah, that's a different session. So if you go on my website, you can see all the different sessions that we offer.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I've had a little look around, but it's so good to just understand. Well, I don't know that we ever understand things, but to get a better understanding of it.
How would I be able to lay hands on hundreds and hundreds of people and dissolve things off their body? They're doing it. When
Yeah.
you cross over and have a near-death experience, I've met so many NDErs on missions to do what? Teach, teach people how to get in this high dimension frequency. It's not me. So many NDErs are here to do work, how to raise our vibration, how to raise our consciousness. So also we teach about what kind of water to drink, what kind of vitamins to take, what kind of food to eat. We have to leave the third dimension behind. Third dimension is worry and fear, bad vitamins, bad worrying, fear, all this type of thing. So they don't let me question, Christy, anything. They don't let me think about things that are not important to think about. They just keep me moving forward.
Wow, that alone blows my mind because my mind, and listeners will know if they've been listening for a while, my mind is everywhere. Like I have a million questions, and they're only the ones that I can think of in the moment. And then I question everything. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just the way that I'm wired I'm very curious. I'm
Yeah,
wired to be curious. And that's who I am, and that's okay. So for you to go, they just don't require me to question. I
they
can't
only,
almost find it
yeah,
scary.
yeah. Well, they you can ask the questions to the guides and they will
Yeah.
answer them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my next book I'm working on is on, and I do them right now, called Soul Frequency Readings. And they are answering questions up to the next 10 years of path numbers. And these are important because everything in our life has a frequency and a number, and they are very accurate about these frequencies and path numbers. And they are communicating this right now because we are in the shift.
Mm. Yeah, you were talking earlier, you talked about the third dimension. You talked about, I think the words you used were it's dying out. I can't remember what words you used. We are transitioning out of this third dimension.
Yeah, we're exposing the truth right now, and
Yeah.
we're awakening into this amazing higher dimension where money and fame, celebrity, um, processing, all this stuff that is not organic is losing its momentum
Mm,
and becoming more organic, pure, kind,
mm,
loving, genuine
mm.
is really on the rise and is becoming, you know, very, very important.
Yeah, and that makes me really happy because yay for all of that. So in terms of that, or because I get questions around why are so many new souls coming into this earth when we're in such a state. I was curious to see whether you were talking about souls and then moving on, transitioning on to different places, because I've spoken to different guests, and I think even just the last guest we had on talked about the 9 different levels of existing and how we're not always here on earth. We're not here necessarily over and over and over again. Do we go somewhere else? I don't even know how to explain this, how to ask this.
Oh,
Why
you
do you
mean,
think we're here? I'm going to go back to a very basic question. Why do you think we are here on earth?
well, I'm not quite sure. They're not answering that.
Okay.
Uh, you mean transcending?
Why are we here having this physical experience? What is
Well,
the
we
meaning
always,
of us
I
being here?
mean, transcending. I mean, we're always transcending, moving in and out. I mean, we're in an infinite energy. We are an infinite energy coming in and out.
Mm,
Um, why we are here, we're here to experience love and helping and serving people. We're a consciousness, we're a soul.
mm,
Life is beautiful and it's amazing if you experiencing in that energy. People are depopulating because they're not going into this highest dimension. We could have infinite energy here. We will have infinite energy here. We can be infinite beings.
yeah.
Paramahansa Yogananda was an infinite being, an ascending master. What I'm saying that is, so how many hours do you meditate a day? How many hours are we watching television? How many hours are we listening to negative energy? And how many hours are we listening to positive energy? So
Yeah.
in the Waking Fifth Dimension book is one of my first channeled books. I touch on some of these topics. Um, it's an 8, like the infinity sign
The
going
infinity.
around and
Mm,
around and around. Yeah. So we're not afraid of death because we've experienced death
mm.
and maybe many times experienced it over and over again because
Yeah.
right? We're
We have no idea how many times we've been here. We have no idea.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
so when I came in to this world, I already was blinking and communicating to the afterlife. My parents didn't like it, or one of them, and was not happy with me. So I
Mm,
pushed it away. It came back after my NDEs, and I was destined to do this work. So I just
mm.
don't question it because I communicate with the afterlife through my eyes. So they don't let me question it.
Yeah.
And I just really do the work that I'm told to do.
It's really, yeah, I can imagine it's not always easy, but when you're aligned and you feel like that's your purpose and that's kind of all you've got, it
Yeah, I feel
really makes
better.
sense to me.
Yes, you're right, Christy. I feel better now who I am, even though before was an easier life. It was more commercial type life that I could go to the mall and hang around and do all that type of
Mm.
stuff. Now I don't. Now you'll find me more in silent retreats and meditations with other types of people that before I was, in a different lifestyle, but I feel more like me now.
That makes sense. I resonate with that. You feel more like you, more aligned, more authentic.
Yeah.
I really like that. I have really been challenged by some of the things you've said. I feel like we've talked around a lot of different topics and haven't necessarily come to any conclusions or anything like that, which I love because it leaves it wide open for all of my questions to come up. Is there one overriding thing that you want to share with us today, Kimberly? One big message.
Um, gosh. Well, I feel like it's really important when you see the 11s, if the 11 comes up for
Oh,
everybody,
uh-huh.
to know that's a sign of your own personal knowing that you're on the right path, that you can have a miracle, that there's an awakening for you. That's a sign to go, to be fearless, to take on that thought. If you have a thought in your mind, you know, or a plan of action, write it down. Get a journal, get a okay, so the angels, or if a prayer that you're writing down is not coming out, not coming to you, or a prayer that you've been asking is not happening at the moment. Remember the guides and the spirit team, they're working it out for you behind the scenes. And sometimes it may
Mm,
take a little bit of time
mm,
because they have to work, in the back, like they're working in the back behind the scenes. But it will come. It will come. It will be there. They will come and help you. It just may take a little bit. And everybody deserves a miracle, a fifth dimensional miracle. And I just want you to know that everybody's special and everybody deserves a blessing and a healing in this life.
yeah, that is beautiful. And I'm feeling it. Yeah, especially the everyone's special. Everyone deserves something. The ones, I love that you talk about that. I love numbers. I've been
Yes.
seeing ones
Yes.
everywhere recently. Ones and a lot of twos as well. So
Yes. And
we get
also,
different messages come through. Yep.
yes, yes, Christy. And I do believe like writing out, because sometimes in the morning people get up quick and they get on their computers, they get on YouTube, all that, but like writing out in the morning, you know, to the omnipresent or to your angels, some of these little messages you may have in your heart, that some of your needs, like, dear angels, dear omnipresent, thank you, your gratitudes, and this is what I may need. And then filing it away, in a little email, or to my angels, you know, they're listening, they hear
Mm,
you, they're
mm,
they're here for you. If it doesn't happen today or next week or in a month, it will come through.
mm, mm. I like that. I love that we talk about communicating with them. And
Yes.
I quite often talk about how we've got our spirit team and we just need to talk to them and not in our moments of desperation, like, please let this happen or please don't let this happen and then never again. I think it needs to be an open dialogue. So,
Yeah. Leaving the worry and
yeah,
in the 3D and tapping into that fifth dimension.
love that. Kimberly, thank you so much for everything you've shared. I'm glad that you're doing well. I'm so glad you're doing the work that you're doing. And like I said, you actually just shine, like literally shining. Um, yeah, thank you so, so much.
Thank you. You're such a blessing, Christy. I'm so happy I came on your show. I feel really good and my heart is so full. And I just want to say thank you to everybody and send so many blessings to everybody during this time.